Have you ever wondered what makes someone unforgettable? What turns a simple, fleeting interest into a deep, consuming connection? In today's world of modern dating, where uncertainty seems to dominate and second-guessing is all too common, it's easy to feel lost. You may find yourself questioning your every move, wondering why he's not as invested as you are, or feeling like you're playing a game you don't fully understand. Here's the truth. The path to a meaningful connection isn't about playing games or following outdated advice. It's not about changing who you are to fit someone else's expectations. Instead, it's about tapping into your true self, radiating an energy of confidence, setting boundaries that honor your worth, and embracing the timeless principles that make relationships thrive. Imagine becoming the woman he can't stop thinking about, not because you're chasing him, but because you've stepped into your power. Imagine creating a connection so genuine and magnetic that it doesn't just make him crave your presence, but also deepens your love and respect for yourself. This isn't about shallow tricks or manipulative tactics. It's about transformation from within. Today, we'll explore 7 powerful acts rooted in stoicism and emotional mastery that don't just spark attraction, they ignite devotion. These are principles that empower you to take control of your life and your relationships, allowing you to embody the version of yourself that is confident, radiant, and irresistible. Are you ready to step into your power? Not just to captivate him, but to fall in love with yourself along the way? Let's begin this journey together, starting with a profound shift that will change how you approach relationships forever. 1. The power of self-worth and boundaries. Have you ever wondered what makes a man transition from casual interest to being completely captivated? What turns intrigue into an all-consuming connection? If you've ever felt frustrated with modern dating, second-guessing your every move or wondering why he's not as invested as you are, this is for you. Too often, we get caught up in outdated advice or superficial tactics that miss the mark. But what if the key to unlocking his devotion wasn't about changing him but transforming your approach? Here's the hard truth. Men fall in love not because of who you pretend to be, but because of the energy you radiate and the boundaries you set. In this exploration, we're diving deep into 7 transformative acts that don't just spark attraction, they make him crave you. These aren't shallow tricks or manipulative games. They are timeless principles rooted in stoicism and dark stoic psychology. They will help you master the art of emotional connection and self-respect. Imagine stepping into your power and becoming the woman he can't stop thinking about, not because you're chasing him, but because you've become irresistible. That's the journey we're embarking on today. Here's the best part. These acts don't just make him fall for you, they make you fall in love with yourself too. Let's begin with the first powerful shift that will transform how men see you. Be comfortable walking away. Have you ever stayed in a relationship longer than you should have because you were afraid of being alone? Perhaps you've put up with behavior that made you feel unappreciated or disrespected, all in fear of losing him. If this resonates with you, you're not alone. But here's the truth. The moment you start fearing the end of a relationship, you lose your power. Men are hardwired to admire strength and independence. This isn't about being cold or detached. It's about knowing your worth so deeply that you're not afraid to walk away when your standards aren't met. This isn't just about dating. It's stoicism in action. Stoicism is the art of staying grounded in your self-worth, regardless of how others behave. Picture this. You're with a man who has been distant or inconsistent. Instead of clinging to the hope that he'll change, you confidently let him know your expectations. You say, "I value honesty and effort, and it feels like we're not on the same page. I'm willing to walk away if that's what's best for both of us." Can you feel the power in those words? You're not begging for him to stay. You're showing him that your happiness doesn't depend on his validation. When you master this act, something incredible happens. Men start to see you differently. They begin to view your time, attention, and presence as privileges, not guarantees. And here's the kicker. When you're willing to leave, they're far more likely to step up. Why? Because humans, by nature, chase what they fear losing. It's one of the core principles of dark stoic psychology. People value what feels scarce. But let me ask you this. Are you ready to put yourself first? To stop tolerating less than you deserve? This doesn't mean walking away at the first sign of trouble. It means setting clear boundaries and following through when those boundaries are crossed. Relationships are about mutual respect. If he's not meeting you halfway, walking away isn't giving up. It's making space for something better. Reflect on this for a moment. Think back to a time when you stayed in a situation that didn't serve you. How did it make you feel? Did you lose a little bit of your confidence each time you compromised on what you deserved? Now, imagine how empowering it would feel to say, "I'm worth more than this," and act accordingly. Walking away isn't just an act of courage, it's an act of self-love. It's saying, "I trust myself to make decisions that honor my worth." And guess what? Men respect women who respect themselves. They're drawn to the quiet confidence of someone who doesn't need them but chooses to be with them. So, what does this look like in practice? First, you need to identify your deal breakers. Is it a lack of effort, dishonesty, or emotional unavailability? Whatever it is, be clear about it in your own mind. Then, communicate those boundaries calmly and confidently. If he crosses them, don't just threaten to leave, be prepared to follow through. This isn't about punishing him, it's about honoring yourself. Here's the beauty of this act. Even if he doesn't step up, you're still winning. Why? Because you freed yourself to attract someone who will. Someone who sees your value and treats you accordingly. And that's what makes this first act so transformative. It's not just about making him fall in love with you. It's about falling in love with yourself. Before we move on to the next transformative act, let me leave you with this question. What's one area in your life where you've been afraid to set boundaries? How would it feel to reclaim your power in that area? 2. Valuing your attention and cultivating emotional independence. Let's move on to the next powerful act that can transform how men perceive and connect with you. Value your attention. Have you ever felt like you're giving everything in a relationship, your time, energy, and emotional support, only to feel like you're being taken for granted? Maybe you're the one always initiating plans, checking in, or keeping the connection alive. It's exhausting, isn't it? Deep down, it leaves you wondering, why isn't he matching my effort? Here's the answer. When you give your attention away too freely, it loses its value. Think about it. If you had unlimited access to something, would you cherish it as much as something rare and special? Probably not. That's why one of the most powerful acts you can embrace is learning to value your attention. Men are naturally drawn to women who command respect, not by demanding it, but by living in a way that shows their time is precious. When you prioritize yourself, your goals, and your passions, you send a clear message. My attention is a privilege, not a guarantee. What does it look like to value your attention? First, it means focusing on your life. Ask yourself, what lights you up? What are the goals, hobbies, or dreams you've been putting off because you've been so focused on him? When you channel your energy into building a life you love, something incredible happens. You naturally become magnetic. Your energy shifts from seeking validation to radiating confidence, and men feel that difference. But valuing your attention isn't just about self-growth. It's also about how you interact with him. Here's where dark Stoic psychology comes into play. When you're not always readily available, you create a sense of intrigue. Men start to wonder, why isn't she texting me back immediately? What's she up to? This isn't about playing games. It's about showing that you have a rich, full life that doesn't revolve around him. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're in the early stages of dating. He texts you, and instead of dropping everything to reply, you take your time. Maybe you're at the gym, hanging out with friends, or working on a passion project. When you finally respond, it's warm and engaging, but you're not overcompensating or trying too hard. That simple act of delayed gratification creates an air of mystery. He'll start to see you as someone who's confident, independent, and worth pursuing. Here's the thing. Valuing your attention doesn't mean being cold or distant. It's about balance. Show interest, but don't overinvest. Demonstrate your value by how you value yourself. Focus on what you can control: your time, your boundaries, and your energy. When you become unshakable in these areas, that inner strength becomes irresistible. However, Let's be real. Valuing your attention takes practice. It requires breaking old habits and learning to say no to behaviors that drain you. So here's a challenge for you. The next time you feel tempted to overextend yourself, pause and ask, is this person earning my attention? If the answer is no, it's time to pull back and refocus on what truly matters. Now, let's shift to the next transformative act: cultivating emotional independence. Have you ever found yourself waiting by your phone, hoping for a text, a call, or some kind of reassurance from him? Have you ever felt like your mood for the entire day depended on how much attention he gave you? So, you're not alone. Many women fall into the trap of emotional dependence without even realizing it. Here's the truth. Nothing pushes a man away faster than feeling like he's responsible for your happiness. Conversely, nothing draws him closer than a woman who is her own source of joy. Emotional independence isn't just a buzzword. It's a lifestyle. It's the art of mastering your emotions so your peace and happiness aren't tied to his actions. Think about it. Isn't that what we all truly want? A relationship where love is freely given, not something we desperately cling to out of fear or insecurity. The concept of emotional independence is deeply rooted in Stoicism. This philosophy teaches us that our happiness should come from within, not from external factors. When you embody this mindset, you become someone who radiates confidence and calm. A woman who doesn't need a man to feel whole, but chooses to share her life with him because it enhances her already fulfilling existence. That kind of energy is irresistible. Let's take a moment to reflect. Think about a time when you felt overly dependent on someone's attention or approval. How did it make you feel when they didn't give you what you craved? Did it leave you anxious, doubting yourself, or questioning your worth? Now, imagine the opposite. Imagine being so grounded in your self-worth that his attention is just the icing on the cake, not the cake itself. How freeing would that feel? To cultivate emotional independence, start by becoming aware of your emotional triggers. Do you notice a wave of anxiety when he doesn't respond to a text right away? Do you feel your mood dip if he seems distant? Instead of spiraling into self-doubt, pause and remind yourself, his actions don't define my worth. I am enough, no matter what. This is where dark Stoic psychology comes into play. By mastering your emotional responses, you take back the power you may have unknowingly given away. Think of it like this. Every time you allow someone else's actions to dictate your feelings, you're handing over control of your inner peace. But when you learn to remain calm and centered, no matter what, you send a powerful message. I am the master of my emotions. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're dating someone, and you've had an amazing time together. Then, out of nowhere, he pulls back, texts less, seems distracted, or doesn't make as much effort. The emotionally dependent version of you might panic, wondering, what did I do wrong? How can I fix this? But the emotionally independent version of you responds differently. Instead of chasing him or seeking reassurance, you simply mirror his energy. You continue living your life, focusing on your goals and passions. You show him, without saying a word, that your world doesn't revolve around him. What happens next? 9 times out of 10, he comes back. Why? Because emotional independence is magnetic. It shows him that you're confident, secure, and not easily shaken. And if he doesn't come back, that's okay too. An emotionally independent woman knows that her peace isn't negotiable, and that the right person will value her strength. Emotional independence isn't just about how you interact with him, it's about how you take care of yourself. Ask yourself, what brings me joy outside of my relationships? Maybe it's a hobby you've neglected, friendships you've let drift, or a self-care routine you've put on the back burner. Reclaim those parts of your life. When you're fulfilled on your own, you don't need to cling to anyone else for happiness. 3. The power of space and celebrating your own life. Let's move to the next transformative act that redefines the dynamics of relationships. Give him space to chase. Have you ever felt like you're doing all the heavy lifting in a relationship? Maybe you're always the one to text first, plan the dates, or keep the conversations alive. It's exhausting, isn't it? But here's the truth. Most women don't realize that men need space to chase. It's not because they're disinterested or lazy, It's because desire is fueled by the effort they invest. If you're always the one doing the chasing, you're unintentionally robbing him of the chance to miss you and value your presence. Here's something powerful to consider. Relationships thrive on balance. If one person is constantly pouring energy into the connection while the other coasts along, the dynamic becomes unbalanced, and resentment can creep in. But when both people invest equally, the connection deepens. That's why one of the most irresistible acts you can embrace is giving him the space to step up and pursue you. Let's explore why this works. Human nature is wired to value what requires effort. Think about it. Have you ever worked hard for something, like a promotion or a fitness goal? How much more satisfying was it because you earned it, rather than having it handed to you? The same principle applies to relationships. Men want to feel like they've earned your attention, not like it's theirs for free. But here's the catch. Giving space doesn't mean ignoring him or playing hard to get. It's about creating a dynamic where he has the opportunity to invest in you. When he's the one reaching out, planning dates, or making an effort to connect, he feels a sense of accomplishment. He starts to see you as someone worth working for, someone special. And that's when true desire begins to grow. Imagine this scenario. You've just started dating someone new. The chemistry is great, but you notice that you're always the first to text or initiate plans. Instead of continuing that pattern, take a step back. Give him the chance to notice your absence and reach out. Maybe it's a few hours. Maybe it's a day. When he finally does text, respond warmly, but resist the urge to overcompensate or overwhelm him with enthusiasm. This isn't about being cold. It's about showing that you're confident enough to let things unfold naturally. This concept is deeply rooted in dark Stoic psychology, which emphasizes the idea that scarcity creates value. When you're not always readily available, he begins to see your time and attention as something precious. The more he values it, the harder he'll work to keep it. It's a subtle but powerful shift that can transform the way he sees you. But let me ask you this. Do you trust him enough to give him space? Sometimes, the fear of losing someone can make us cling tighter, even when we know it's counterproductive. That fear often stems from a lack of confidence in our own worth. But when you embrace stoicism and ground yourself in your value, you realize that giving space isn't a risk. It's a strategy. It's a way to allow the relationship to breathe and grow, rather than suffocating it with constant attention. How do you put this into practice? Start by becoming more aware of how often you're initiating contact. If you're always the one texting first, challenge yourself to wait and see if he reaches out. If you're the one always suggesting plans, take a step back and let him take the lead. This doesn't mean you stop engaging altogether. It's about creating balance and allowing him to show his interest. What happens if he doesn't step up? If you give him space and he fades away, that tells you something important. It shows you that his interest wasn't as strong as you deserve. And while that may sting in the moment, it's a blessing in disguise. It frees you to attract someone who will put in the effort, someone who sees your value and can't help but pursue you. Let me share a story. A friend of mine, Sarah, was dating a guy who seemed perfect on paper, but she noticed that she was always the one keeping the relationship alive. Instead of confronting him, she decided to give him space. She stopped texting first and focused on her own life, her friends, her career, her passions. Within a week, he started texting her more, planning dates, and showing up in ways he hadn't before. Why? Because he realized what he stood to lose. Sarah's confidence and independence made her even more attractive, and he stepped up to match her energy. Giving him space isn't about manipulating him. It's about honoring yourself. It's about creating a relationship dynamic where you're both equally invested. Trust me, when you master this, changes everything. Now, let's transition to the next transformative act. Celebrate your own life. When was the last time you felt truly alive, completely immersed in something that brought you joy? Think about it. The moments when you were so consumed by a passion, project, or even a quiet walk in nature that you forgot to check your phone, forgot to wonder if he was thinking about you. Those moments are powerful because they remind you of one undeniable truth. You are the main character of your own story. Men are naturally drawn to women who exude a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Why? because confidence, passion, and independence are magnetic. A woman who celebrates her life, who is deeply in love with herself and the world she's creating, doesn't just attract a man's attention. She captivates his soul. She becomes someone he admires, respects, and ultimately can't resist. But here's where many women go wrong. In the excitement of a new relationship, or the hope of deepening an existing one, they lose sight of their own lives. They start prioritizing his interests over theirs, shifting their schedules to accommodate him, and slowly letting go of the hobbies, friends, and goals that once made them feel alive. It's a subtle shift, but over time, it sends a clear message. My happiness depends on you. That is a surefire way to lose both yourself and his admiration. To avoid this trap, make the conscious choice to celebrate your own life, regardless of who is or isn't part of it. This isn't just about keeping yourself busy. It's about creating a life so rich and fulfilling that you become magnetic without even trying. When you celebrate your own life, you're not just attracting him, you're nurturing yourself. You're building a foundation of joy and self-love that no relationship can shake. And when you're deeply connected to your passions and purpose, you become unshakable. You no longer seek validation or cling to someone else to fill the gaps in your life, because you've already filled them yourself. 4. Setting boundaries and embracing mystery. Let's dive into the next transformative act. Set boundaries and keep them. When was the last time you set a boundary in a relationship and actually stuck to it? Be honest. Have you ever bent your standards just to keep the peace or avoid losing someone? So, you're not alone. But here's a truth that might surprise you. Boundaries don't push men away. They pull the right men closer. Boundaries aren't walls, they're signposts. They say, this is what I value, and this is how I expect to be treated. When you enforce them, you're not just protecting yourself. You're showing him that you're a woman who respects her own worth. Men are wired to admire strength and clarity, and nothing demonstrates that better than a woman who knows her limits and doesn't compromise them for anyone. But let's address the elephant in the room. Many women fear that setting boundaries will make them seem too difficult or high maintenance. Have you ever thought, if I speak up, he might think I'm being demanding, and he'll leave? It's a common worry. But the reality is this. The right man will respect your boundaries, not resent them. In fact, boundaries are what make a relationship thrive, because they create a foundation of mutual respect. Why are boundaries so essential? At their core, boundaries are about protecting your emotional well-being. They prevent you from overextending yourself and ensure that you're giving and receiving in equal measure. When you set a boundary, you're saying, I value myself, and I expect you to value me too. That's not selfish, that's healthy. Here's an example. Imagine you're seeing someone who constantly cancels plans at the last minute. Maybe he has a good excuse, or maybe he doesn't. Either way, it leaves you feeling frustrated and unimportant. The old version of you might shrug it off, hoping he'll change. But the high-value version of you sets a boundary. You calmly tell him, I understand things come up, but I need reliability in a relationship. If you can't commit to plans, it's better to let me know up front. What happens next? One of two things. Either he steps up and starts respecting your time, or he doesn't, and you walk away. Either outcome is a win because you're prioritizing your self-respect over his approval. This is where dark stoic psychology shines. By staying firm in your boundaries, you create a dynamic where he has to rise to meet your standards or risk losing you. Men respect women who challenge them to be better. And boundaries are one of the most effective ways to do that. Let's be real. Setting boundaries isn't always easy. It takes courage to say no. Especially if you're used to being a people pleaser. It can feel uncomfortable, even scary, to risk conflict or rejection. But let me ask you this. What's scarier, momentary discomfort, or spending your life in a relationship where you feel unseen and undervalued? Boundaries are also deeply tied to stoicism, which teaches us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. You can't control how someone reacts to your boundaries, but you can control whether or not you enforce them. By doing so, you're taking responsibility for your happiness and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. So, how do you start setting boundaries in your relationships? Begin by identifying your non-negotiables. What behaviors or situations make you feel disrespected or drained? Write them down and get crystal clear on what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not. Then, practice communicating those boundaries calmly and confidently. Use I statements like, "I feel disrespected when plans are canceled last minute," rather than accusatory language like, "You never keep your word." But here's the key. Boundaries only work if you enforce them. If you set a limit and then let him cross it without consequence, you're sending the message that your words don't carry weight. Consistency is everything. When you follow through, you show him and yourself that you mean what you say. Let me share a story about a client of mine, Rachel. She was in a relationship with a man who often made hurtful jokes at her expense. First, she laughed it off, thinking it was harmless. But over time, those jokes chipped away at her confidence. When she finally confronted him, she said, "I don't find those comments funny, and I won't tolerate being disrespected." His response: he apologized and stopped the behavior immediately. Why? Because Rachel's boundary made it clear that she valued herself, and he valued her more because of it. Boundaries aren't just about protecting yourself, they're about setting the tone for how others treat you. And here's the best part. When you enforce your boundaries, you inspire him to step into his best self. If this resonates with you, take a moment to reflect on the boundaries you've been hesitant to set. Where could you create change by standing firm in your worth? Now, let's move to the final transformative act. Embrace mystery. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you left a man wanting more? Not in a manipulative way, but in a way that sparked his curiosity, fueled his desire, and made him eager to uncover the layers of who you are. If you're always an open book, laying all your emotions, intentions, and stories out on the table, you might unintentionally miss out on one of the most powerful tools of attraction: mystery. Men are inherently drawn to the unknown. It's not because they want games or confusion. It's because curiosity is a natural driver of emotional investment. When there's a sense of discovery, they're motivated to learn more, to connect on a deeper level, and to win the privilege of truly knowing you. That's why the art of embracing mystery is so transformative. It doesn't just attract him, it keeps him captivated. But mystery isn't about withholding or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about pacing. It's about letting him peel back the layers of your personality, passions, and emotions over time, rather than handing him the entire story up front. Think of it like reading a great novel. Would it be as satisfying if the ending was revealed on page 1? Of course not. The intrigue comes from the journey, the twists, turns, and gradual unfolding of the plot. 5. The art of mystery in your journey to empowerment. Let's continue exploring the art of embracing mystery and why it's such a powerful tool in cultivating deeper emotional connections. As we've discussed, mystery isn't about withholding or playing games. It's about pacing and creating an air of intrigue that keeps him captivated. Think of mystery as a dance, where each step reveals just enough to keep the connection exciting and engaging, but not so much that it loses its spark. The idea is simple. When you're an open book, revealing every thought, emotion, and story too quickly can overwhelm the dynamic. On the other hand, when you allow him to gradually uncover the layers of who you are, he feels invested in the process. That investment deepens the connection and fuels his desire to know you on a more profound level. So, how do you embrace mystery in a way that's authentic and effective? It begins with intentionality. Let's break this down into practical steps. 1. Share selectively. When you're getting to know someone, it's natural to want to bond by sharing experiences and stories. However, consider pacing your revelations. Not every detail needs to be laid out immediately. Instead, focus on sharing what feels meaningful in the moment and allow the deeper layers of your personality to emerge naturally over time. For example, imagine he asks about your past relationships. Instead of diving into a detailed explanation, you could respond with something like, "I've learned a lot from them, and I'm grateful for those experiences." This answer is thoughtful and reflective, but it leaves room for curiosity. It invites him to engage further if he's genuinely interested. creating an opportunity for deeper dialogue. 2. Create moments of wonder. Mystery isn't just about what you say, it's about how you live. A woman with a rich, independent life filled with passions, goals, and interests naturally exudes an air of intrigue. When you're busy building your career, nurturing your friendships, or pursuing your hobbies, you send a clear message. My life is vibrant and fulfilling, with or without you. This isn't about being distant or unavailable. It's about showing that you have a life that inspires you. Men are drawn to women who have a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Sparks questions like, what drives her? What's she working on? What inspires her? And the more he wonders, the more invested he becomes. 3. Balance openness and restraint. Authenticity is key. Embracing mystery doesn't mean pretending to be someone you're not, or withholding important aspects of yourself. It's about balancing openness with restraint. Share enough to build trust and connection, but hold back just enough to keep him intrigued. Here's an example. Imagine you've just had an incredible day and want to share it with him. Instead of texting him every detail right away, consider starting with a simple, enticing statement. Today was amazing. Can't wait to tell you about it. This approach sparks curiosity and invites him to engage further, rather than overwhelming him with information all at once. 4. Leave space for discovery. Men are naturally motivated by the process of discovery. When there's a sense of mystery, they feel compelled to uncover the depths of who you are. This dynamic creates a sense of adventure and excitement in the relationship. By leaving space for him to explore and learn about you, you invite him to invest emotionally. For instance, instead of explaining your every thought or feeling, let your actions and energy speak for themselves. If he's curious about what you're passionate about, let him see it in action. If he's wondering how you spend your time, let him discover it gradually through shared experiences. 5. Focus on inner growth. At the heart of embracing mystery is the idea of focusing on your own growth and happiness. When you're grounded in your sense of self and committed to becoming the best version of yourself, you naturally become magnetic. This is where Stoicism plays a crucial role. By centering your attention on your own growth, you shift the dynamic from seeking validation to radiating confidence. Let's consider a real-life example. Mia, a friend of mine, used to feel the need to over-explain herself in relationships. She thought that sharing every detail of her life would make her more relatable and likable. But over time, she noticed that men seemed less engaged. When she decided to take a different approach, listening more, asking thoughtful questions, and sharing selectively, everything changed. Men became more attentive, curious, and invested in getting to know her. Why? Because she created a sense of mystery that invited deeper connection. 6. Embrace the unknown. Living with a sense of mystery doesn't just impact your relationships, it transforms how you see yourself. When you embrace the unknown and lean into your complexity, you start to appreciate the layers of your own personality. You recognize that you don't have to reveal everything at once to be worthy of love and connection. This mindset is empowering. It allows you to show up authentically while maintaining a sense of intrigue. It's about living with intention, valuing your own depth, and inviting others to earn the privilege of knowing you on a deeper level. The power of empowerment. Embracing mystery isn't about manipulation. It's about mastering the art of pacing and intentionality. When you approach relationships with this mindset, you create a dynamic where both partners feel excited, engaged, and inspired. You become the woman who isn't just memorable but unforgettable. As we conclude this journey through transformative acts, let's revisit the principles we've explored. The courage to walk away, valuing your attention, cultivating emotional independence, giving space to chase, celebrating your life, setting boundaries, and embracing mystery. These aren't just tools for attracting love. They're foundations for building a fulfilling life rooted in self-respect and empowerment. Here's the beauty of these principles. They don't just transform how men see you, they transform how you see yourself. When you embody these acts, you step into your power as a confident, radiant, and self-assured woman. You stop chasing love and start attracting it effortlessly, because you've become the best version of yourself. 6. living your power and creating a lasting impact. As we wrap up this transformative journey, let's focus on the overarching theme that ties all these acts together: living your power. The principles we've explored so far: embracing self-worth, valuing your attention, cultivating independence, giving space, celebrating your life, setting boundaries, and embracing mystery, aren't just strategies for relationships. They are the building blocks of a fulfilling, empowered life. Living your power means stepping into your identity as a woman who knows her worth and isn't afraid to own it. It's about recognizing that you are the creator of your happiness, the master of your emotions, and the architect of your relationships. When you live this way, you don't just attract respect and admiration from others, you transform how you see yourself. Reclaiming your inner strength. One of the most profound shifts you can make is realizing that your worth isn't determined by anyone else's actions or opinions. Too often, we fall into the trap of seeking validation from external sources, whether it's a partner, a job, or social approval. But the truth is, your value is intrinsic. It's not something you have to earn or prove, it's something you already possess. Living your power starts with reclaiming your inner strength. This means embracing the principles of Stoicism, which teach us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. When you take responsibility for your emotions and choices, you reclaim the power you may have unknowingly given away. Let's reflect on a common scenario. Imagine you're in a relationship where your partner's attention has waned. The old version of you might have spiraled into self-doubt, wondering what you did wrong or how you could fix it. But the empowered version of you takes a different approach. Instead of chasing his validation, you pause, reflect, and focus on your own growth. You recognize that his behavior doesn't define your worth, and that realization alone is liberating. Building a life you love. Living your power also means building a life that excites and fulfills you. Too often, we put our dreams and passions on hold for the sake of others. But when you prioritize your own growth, you create a foundation of joy and purpose that no relationship can shake. Think about the activities, hobbies, and goals that light you up. When was the last time you truly immersed yourself in something you love? Whether it's exploring a creative passion, pursuing a career milestone, or simply enjoying quality time with friends, these moments remind you of your independence and resilience. A fulfilling life doesn't just benefit you, it enhances your relationships, too. When you're living with purpose and excitement, you naturally radiate confidence and magnetism. People are drawn to your energy because it's authentic and inspiring. And when it comes to romantic connections, this kind of self-assuredness is irresistible. The balance between giving and receiving. One of the challenges many women face is finding the balance between giving and receiving in relationships. It's natural to want to nurture and support your partner, but overextending yourself can lead to feelings of exhaustion and resentment. Living your power means recognizing that relationships should be a two-way street, built on mutual respect and effort. This is where the principles of boundaries and attention come into play. By valuing your time and energy, you set the tone for how others treat you. When you establish clear boundaries and communicate your needs, you create a dynamic where both partners feel valued and respected. For example, imagine you're always the one initiating contact or planning dates. Over time, this imbalance can make you feel unappreciated. But when you step back and allow your partner to take the lead, you give him the opportunity to invest in the relationship. This doesn't mean you stop contributing. It's about creating space for reciprocity. The role of mystery in lasting connections. As we've explored, mystery isn't about withholding. It's about pacing and intentionality. This principle becomes even more important as relationships deepen. In the early stages of dating, mystery creates intrigue and excitement. But in a long-term relationship, it evolves into something deeper. The sense that there's always more to discover about each other. Living your power means embracing this sense of depth and complexity. It's about showing up authentically while leaving room for curiosity and growth. This doesn't mean hiding parts of yourself. It means allowing the relationship to unfold naturally, with each partner investing in the process of discovery. Empowerment beyond relationships. While the principles we've discussed are transformative for relationships, Their impact goes far beyond romantic connections. Living your power enhances every aspect of your life, from your career to your friendships to your sense of self. When you embrace your worth and set clear boundaries, you create a ripple effect that influences how others perceive and interact with you. Consider how these principles apply in a professional setting. Valuing your attention and setting boundaries can help you avoid burnout and maintain a healthy work-life balance. Cultivating emotional independence allows you to navigate challenges with resilience and grace. And celebrating your life reminds you that success isn't just about achievements. It's about finding joy in the journey. Your path to empowerment. As we conclude this exploration of transformative acts, let's revisit the journey you've undertaken. These principles aren't about changing who you are. They're about rediscovering and amplifying your strengths. They remind you that true power comes from within, and that the most fulfilling relationships are built on mutual respect and authenticity. Here's the beautiful truth. When you embody these principles, you don't just captivate others, you transform yourself. You become the woman who doesn't chase love, but attracts it effortlessly. You create a life that's vibrant, fulfilling, and uniquely yours. So, what's your next step? Start small. Choose one principle to focus on this week, whether it's setting a boundary, celebrating your life, or embracing emotional independence. Commit to it fully and observe how your energy shifts. Remember, change doesn't happen overnight, but every step you take brings you closer to the empowered, radiant version of yourself. And here's the best part. You're not on this journey alone. This community is here to support you, cheer you on, and celebrate your growth. Your story has the power to inspire others, and your commitment to self-respect and empowerment creates a ripple effect that touches everyone around you. 7. The legacy of self-worth and radiance. As we bring this transformative exploration to a close, let's reflect on the most profound takeaway of all. Your self-worth is your legacy. The steps you've embraced on this journey aren't just actions. They are shifts in perspective that define how you see yourself and how others experience you. When you live in alignment with your worth, you radiate an energy that is magnetic, unshakable, and unforgettable. Owning your power with confidence. The concept of owning your power isn't just a buzzword, it's a lifestyle. It's about walking into every room, every relationship, and every situation with the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are. This doesn't mean you won't face challenges or doubts. It means you approach them from a place of inner strength. Confidence isn't about perfection, it's about resilience. When you're confident, you don't crumble under criticism or rejection, because you understand that these moments don't define you. Instead, you see them as opportunities for growth and clarity. This kind of confidence is deeply rooted in the principles we've explored: boundaries, independence, and celebration of your life. Creating meaningful connections. Living your power also transforms how you connect with others. When you approach relationships from a place of self-worth, you attract people who respect and value you. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth or chase validation because you already know your value. Meaningful connections thrive on authenticity. By being true to yourself, you create space for genuine relationships to flourish. You inspire others to show up as their authentic selves. 2. This dynamic creates a foundation of trust, respect, and mutual admiration that elevates every interaction. Let's revisit the concept of mystery in this context. Mystery isn't about hiding, it's about revealing yourself intentionally. When you approach connections with this mindset, you invite others to invest in getting to know you. This process deepens the bond and creates a sense of shared discovery that keeps the connection alive and exciting. Navigating challenges with grace. Life is unpredictable, and relationships aren't immune to challenges. But when you've embraced the principles of empowerment, you navigate these moments with grace. Instead of reacting impulsively, you respond thoughtfully. Instead of clinging to what isn't serving you, you let go with confidence that something better awaits. This doesn't mean challenges won't hurt. It means you'll face them with the tools to heal and grow. By valuing your attention, setting boundaries, and cultivating emotional independence, you create a safety net for yourself. This inner resilience allows you to weather storms without losing sight of your worth. Inspiring others through your journey. Your commitment to self-respect and empowerment doesn't just transform your life, it inspires those around you. When others see you living authentically, they're reminded of their own potential. Your story becomes a beacon of hope and motivation for those who are searching for their own path to empowerment. Think about the ripple effect of your choices. Every time you set a boundary, every time you celebrate your life, and every time you embrace your independence, you're modeling a new way of being. You're showing others that it's possible to create a life of fulfillment and joy on your own terms. The gift of authenticity. At the heart of this journey is the gift of authenticity. By embracing your true self, you create a life that's rich with meaning and connection. You no longer feel the need to conform to others' expectations or chase after fleeting approval. Instead, you live in alignment with your values, passions, and dreams. Authenticity is magnetic because it's rare. In a world that often prioritizes appearances over substance, being genuine sets you apart. It draws people to you who appreciate your depth and admire your courage to be yourself. Your next chapter. As you move forward, remember that this journey is ongoing. There will be moments of doubt, but there will also be moments of triumph. The key is to stay committed to the principles that ground you. Every small step you take, whether it's setting a boundary, pursuing a passion, or choosing to walk away from what doesn't serve you, brings you closer to the best version of yourself. So, what's your next chapter? What does living your power look like for you? Take a moment to envision the life you want to create. What goals, relationships, and experiences align with your values? Write them down, and let them guide your choices moving forward. A final reflection. As we conclude, let's revisit the transformative acts that have defined this journey. Be comfortable walking away. Value your attention. Cultivate emotional independence. Give him space to chase. Celebrate your own life. Set boundaries and keep them. Embrace mystery. These principles are more than strategies, they're a way of life. They remind you that your worth is non-negotiable. Your happiness is your responsibility, and your power comes from within. Here's the most beautiful truth. When you embody these principles, you don't just attract love, you become love. You radiate a sense of joy, confidence, and purpose that transforms not only your relationships but every aspect of your life. And that is the true legacy of self-worth. Thank you for committing to this journey. Your growth, resilience, and dedication to self-respect are a testament to your strength. Remember, the best is yet to come, and you are more than capable of creating the love and life you deserve. Until next time, stay confident, stay radiant, and always remember, you are enough.